Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John. What was that? Welcome back to the Love of Cinema, a podcast which will challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we've decided to make this episode a drinking game. That's right. So anytime we say anything... Anytime we say anything negative at all, we are the Love of Cinema. Anytime we say anything negative at all about each other, about this film, about how Dave is also Jerusalem, we're going to play this sound.
We're treading a fine line.
That sound means we're taking a drink, and I hope you drink along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass as we marvel over how these guys were doing Game of Thrones level political shenanigans before it was cool.
That's true.
Way before.
Swords, sandals, and Jesus. All right, people, that's it. We're talking about Kingdom of Heaven, but we're not just doing Kingdom of Heaven, the theatrical cut. No.
Oh,
we're
fuck,
doing
we're
the
not.
Director's Cut Roadshow edition, which I rented on
fucking raw.
Prime. Did you guys rent this? You rent this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only place to get it.
I bought it because it was only $1 more to buy it. It was $4.99 for purchase.
What?
On yeah.
No, damn it.
See, you had more faith than I did. I rented it.
If you're new to the show, the Random Year Generator spun 2005, so we decided to pick a movie that represented this year. I had not seen this movie at all. Dave, I don't think you'd seen Kingdom of Heaven.
No.
John had. Had you seen the director's cut or just the theatrical?
No, first time for the director's cut, yeah.
Nice. So we decided to give this one a go. So we're going to give you the year in review. We're going to talk about movie news that happened this year. We're going to talk about world events. Check the show notes, though, if you really just want to get to your Kingdom of Heaven commentary, because we do drink on the show, so we like to get it flowing with some gripes and things in advance. And also, guys, I wrote something about why we decided to do the director's cut versus the Roadshow edition. I would like to read it on the air.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Okay, you ready?
Sure.
This is the Ridley Scott director's cut, which came out the year after its release in 2006 on a 4-disc DVD pack with special features. It was not a recut. This was Ridley's initial cut. The initial theatrical release was 2 hours and 24 minutes. Fox Film Entertainment studio head at the time, Tom Rothman, decided that Ridley's cut was too long, worrying that modern audiences of the time wouldn't have the patience or bandwidth to sit through 2 hours of a movie, which is why they cast the guy from Lord of the Rings. So along with distributors at Fox Property, 20th Century Fox Distributions, they shaved off 45 minutes and focused on action, adventure, and romance, not feeling beholden on the theological religious war details of their $130 million movie about Christians and Muslims fighting over the Holy Land of Jerusalem during the Crusades. And heavy use of from the Academy Award-winning director of Gladiator did not make Ridley Scott happy. He didn't like it. And critics said the movie felt incomplete because it literally was. They just chunked out 45 minutes of it. But if the 194-minute runtime worries you, worry not. Roadshow apparently just means that there's an overturn and intermission. So if you fast forward through those, it's a tight 190.
I must admit,
the music's awesome.
Fucking bold choice to put an overture with just a black screen.
Yeah, just black screen.
Before the 20th Century Fox logo.
I have one more button about this. You ready? To be fair to Tom Rothman, while the Lord of the Rings extended editions all had been released by the time this movie came out, the trimmed down theatrical releases actually made a whole lot of money at the box office. And then the Lord of the Rings was able to cash in even more by people then going back and repurchasing the extended edition box sets. So maybe he knows a thing or two, which is why Tom Rothman is now currently the chairman and CEO of Sony Pictures Motion Picture Entertainment. And to refer back to Dave's recent mini-review of Venom: The Last Dance, it looks like he's still up to the same shit.
Yeah.
That's my speech.
Dude, the man who bought you It's Morbin time.
I'll tell you a little anecdote about when they decided supposedly to actually cut this down, when he actually saw it and they made that decision. Reminded me when we're actually discussing the movie. Fun little anecdote.
Oh, you're leaving the people in suspense.
Suspense!
That's
you have
how
to
we keep 'em.
listen!
Okay, cool.
Hey, guys.
Well-
We have some sponsors.
Yes.
One of them is Carlos Barroso. That guy makes beer. You can find his handle in the show notes if you want to follow him on the old gram. That's cbarozzo.beer. It's in the show notes. Follow, like, love the beer making shenanigans by Mr. Barozzo. We also have a music artist in residence. He's been on the show before as a guest host. You've heard his voice. You've heard his music. Go listen to more of his music. That guy's name is Dasein, Dasein.
He doesn't know the microphone, but we've heard his voice.
Yeah, you don't know you have, but you have. Go, like, listen, love, subscribe, Dasein on all the usual music platforms.
That's true for you, Dave. You just a fucking guest from last week. You just
Who
who makes music for a living says he doesn't have a microphone. Well, actually, I have to apologize to Dasein on the air because I forgot to put featuring Dasein in our episode title when I posted the podcast. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Ever forgive
So sorry,
you.
Brandon.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. But by the time you listen to this podcast, it will have been it'll be in our backlogs. It'll be there. You can edit from the past. The future can change.
Deep
cool. So we
stuff
got
here.
So we got some gripes and things that we can get into. We already told people they can scoot ahead if they're getting antsy and want that Kingdom of Heaven commentary from us. Any other news, though, you guys want to talk about really quick? Shout anything out, keeping us present and relevant? You guys want to talk about the worst Super Bowl of all time that just happened? Anything else?
Wow. That was really crazy. Did you guys like Kendrick's halftime show?
I only
didn't
saw the
get it.
highlights, so I haven't.
I knew the few, but I was watching it kind of like, looks cool, sounds good, but I just didn't know enough about the actual songs.
I mean, if half the country's raving about it and the other half's pissed off, it was probably awesome.
Which is the weirdest thing that, like, this. So let's say like my dad's generation, but the people that had the tickets and have gone to football for a long time. This is so not for them. Like the halftime events, which is not even racial or ageist or anything like that. It's so funny that in the old days it was like. Well, not the old days, but in 20 years ago, it was all of their favorite artists. It was like the Stones and Paul McCartney and Bruce Springsteen. And it was just like clearly making the football fans happy. Now it's let's get the non-football fans to tune into the Super Bowl so we can get even bigger numbers. Because the football fans are already going to watch and they're going to sit through it or go to the bathroom.
The non-fans are already there for the Marvel commercials anyway.
Right.
Well, it's Jay-Z's company that has been doing the past several Super Bowls, right? So he's done, it's his company, like Rockstar Nation or Rock something. I can't remember what it's called, but he basically got this contract with the NFL. So he's been doing it for the past several years. I would venture to say that's why it has looked different, sounded different. For the most part, though, I think they've been really successful shows.
Yeah.
Usher, Dre, Kendrick, Rihanna. Who was the first year? I can't remember. But I mean, they've been fun. I know what you mean. Every time they come on, you're always just like, I know there's a lot of middle-aged and boomer white people that are just like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. But you know what? I thought it was awesome. I loved this show.
I think
the Weeknd was probably
like
a little bit more.
But
they
the
don't listen to him either, though, right? Like, I know he's not rapping all the time, but
no.
I know it's more poppy, but
it's just, there were hits, but there was no, there's nothing you can dance to. I would say that, in this set, but it was very artistic. Like, I would be very curious to see the tour, like him and tour, which is all this is because they don't even get paid anyway. But
he's that kind of artist, though, right? I think everybody thought he was going to do all right, and the fact that he didn't do that song was kind of just like a little bit of the, I'm not going to do that kind of show. Which honestly, like what you're going back to, Dave, like I feel like people are thinking a little bit more about it. Which I don't know if that equals success with Super Bowl halftime shows, but it's the first time I've ever heard anyone say that about a Super Bowl halftime show. That you're like supposed to like think about it.
I kind of feel like they peaked.
Who thinks about the halfway? Who thinks about it?
They peaked at Prince's Purple Rain. Nothing.
Well, Prince changed everything.
Yeah.
Have you heard this story about that? Wait, this is really fast. Have you heard this story? So it was an outdoor. So you can't be outdoor anymore. The most recent outdoor event was at MetLife Stadium. The Giant Stadium was already gone, and this was when the Peyton Manning Broncos got destroyed by Seattle. I think that was the last time this happened. It was an awful Super Bowl. That was the last time it was outdoors. When Prince performed, it was outdoors, and it was pouring rain. Pouring rain. And this was like all day, and they really didn't know if Prince would perform in the rain. I don't know what their contracts were like, but whoever the promoter was, whoever the Jay-Z of the time was so surprised that they got Prince and was so happy about it. And it was pouring, and he was nervous, and he gets a call, and Prince is on the phone. And he's like, "Oh my God, he's gonna back out." He really thought Prince was going to back out. And he goes, "Hey, how's it going? Are you still doing the show?" And Prince goes, "I'll do the show on one condition." He goes, "What?" And Prince goes, "Can you make it rain harder?"
Purple rain.
Yeah.
What happens to
And then
his
Michael
Jerry
Jackson,
curls
too.
when all that water just... I don't know.
Absolutely nothing.
It's perfect. It's just perfect.
All right.
Hello, Eddie Murphy. Do you guys want some pancakes?
Any other news? We don't have to talk about the Grammys or anything. I think, I don't know if there's any other movies you guys saw, any film news,
Just
anything.
another week in the paradise of the modern United States Union.
The only thing
LA's
I've been
good.
watching is Apple Fitness, and I learned a few
Love it.
lessons.
Lord, yeah, hell yeah, Dave. Can't wait for you to tell us about it.
Dude, seriously, I jumped on the rowing machine because I'm like, I've been out for a while, so I'm going to ease back into it. So I fired up one of these Apple Fitness workouts with Josh. And as it turns out, Josh is a fucking maniac.
Josh.
Dude, seriously.
All trainers are psychopaths. You
Seriously,
didn't know?
I didn't realize.
That's what he does for a living.
I just picked something that was only a 10-minute workout. I'm like, yeah, cool. That's great. Nice, quick 10-minute workout with 7 fucking rowing sprints in it. And he's like, yeah, let's go for it. We're gonna go for it. We're going right to the front of the back. I'm just like snots running off me. I'm gasping for breath. I'm like, how's he fucking talking?
Dave, you look like when Russell Crowe sees his dead wife hanging in the spit in the shit. It's just hanging out of him. Dave, when was the last time you exerted yourself?
Jesus.
That
Like that hard. Like what was that? I mean, yeah, I'm not like a runner either. Like I was doing a bunch of HIIT workouts over the pandemic, and that shit is hard as fuck, dude.
The closest would be about a year ago when I found myself on a loadout that had a crew of like 130. And we were like packing down a convention center, and it was like we struck like 2 video walls in an hour. That was like
So
cardio is different though, isn't it, dude?
Yeah. Yes.
You have a chiropractor now though, right?
Aren't you married to a massage therapist?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, she goes home.
She's like, you don't stretch. You bought this on yourself. Fucking suffer.
You should stretch. Are you not stretching?
No, I haven't.
Dave.
It's too late for me. Save yourself.
No,
my wife
there's
refuses
plenty
to
of
stretch
time.
when she works out and runs and shit. Like you're not going to be able to move when you're older.
Just flick on YouTube and get her to have a look at my posture during this show, and you don't want to end up like that.
Actually, my back's kind of sore. Actually, now we're thinking about it. Now, everybody at home, how's your back? I hope now everybody's just aware of their back pain and the inevitability of death. You guys,
is anybody excited to see the gorge?
Yeah,
is anybody
I'm
anticipating
pumped.
it?
Yeah,
it looked a little.
I want to know what's at the bottom of it.
What? And the tagline was the most predictable tagline of all time. Wait, hold on. Let me find it's right here. Give me a second.
I was excited when I saw that trailer. I'm like, this is kind of cute
or whatever.
And also monsters.
Cute.
Yeah, it's like Doom, but Valentine's Day Doom.
They're not keeping you out. They're keeping them in. I mean, that's a bad tagline. That's a bad tagline for this. Come on.
It's like
they got
the
2
sequel
stars.
to that Matt Damon movie, The Great Wall. Remember?
The Great Wall.
It ended up being a fucking alien movie. You're like, what?
Yeah,
it's like the end of Ben-Hur.
I never saw it.
Even my
What
my parents are probably listening to this, going, "I hope you were high for that, you guys."
Oh God, yeah, we need it. I need something.
And it was
Jeff, you were
dog
saying
things. Come on, the fucking dog things. No, I'm trying to do. Let's do some gripes. Let's get into it. Let's get to the Kingdom of Heaven shit. I'm so excited to talk about Jerusalem with you guys.
Let's go.
I haven't seen a lot of good Jerusalem. Nobody wants to touch this topic today. Can you imagine a good battle over Jerusalem movie today? Nobody wants to talk about that.
I think we just had one.
Yeah, it's on the news 24/7.
Yeah.
Dave, you got any gripes?
All right, you gonna gripe?
Do you have a gripe?
I don't.
Do you have a gripe?
Do you have a gripe? Well, I'll do a gripe. I don't know if I fleshed it out, so let's see. You guys can help me flesh it out, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sure.
There's nothing. Hold on a second. Fuck. What is this supposed to be buzz-free?
Not if you fuck it up.
Oh God.
There is no unexpected item in the bagging area. There is no unexpected item in the bagging area.
English, fuck, dude.
Fucking hell, come on. How many? I'm sitting there and it's like unexpected. I'm like, no, there's not. And then I like pick something up or I put something on. It's like we need the person to come over, and it's like just fucking trust me. There's cameras every. Shut the fuck up. I just put in my CVS card. Like there's no unexpected. There's bag racks for bags that nobody even gets in the bagging area, and they're trying to get there's nothing in there. It's not telling me there's something in there.
You know
Leave
what's
me
in
alone.
there? Ghost peppers.
What?
Ghost peppers.
You don't. You're not BuzzFeed. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Get
it. Ride
Suck
it
on
out.
your fucking juice, bitch.
Sucking your juice. How much money are we giving to the LA fires? There was apparently rain this week, but the fire's still going. John, can you explain that? Explain embers. How does that work?
I'm up to 43.50.
43. Hey,
God, is it still burning a little bit? That shit
I thought
just
there was still a
gets
little bit in the
way
process 'cause
down
it rained.
underneath the ground. It is rain. It is going to rain more this week.
Mm.
They're a little scared that it may actually, because last week they were like, yeah, it could, but it wasn't supposed to rain that hard. This week, apparently, it is supposed to be a more intense rain. So they are scared that it is
watch
going
out
to
for
create
fucking
some
mudslides.
mudslides. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Have you-
But it was really nice last week. Steady for several days.
Yeah. I know another person that was near the Sunset Fire, John. So I'm finding out all of your neighbors based on their proximity to the Sunset Fire.
Do I know them?
No. Have you gone near the beach?
No,
You've seen the
still haven't
pictures of the
driven
beach?
over there.
Looks
No.
like it. You guys want to talk about movies, or you what do you
Yeah,
think?
let's do
Anything
that.
else you want to get into it?
Is that what we do? Sure.
All right. I told you this is going to be the quickest ever year in review, not because I want to rush it, but because.
Wait. Before we move on,
Okay.
what food did you guys make for Super Bowl?
We ordered
Did you
wings.
have
And
anything fun?
we had fewer than we thought, and then with chips and dips, and then I had a bunch of runny poops yesterday. So something in there was weird, but we apparently consumed some of the 1.4 billion chicken wings that are consumed on Super Bowl
I know.
Sunday,
Dude, that number is always insane to me.
Yeah.
just in America.
I think Sopranos taught me that it's the most wasteful day in America because, their money laundering business, their main one
waste
is
collection.
they handle waste management in Jersey. So they said it's like the most wasteful day of the year every year is Super Bowl. I think that's so funny. It's not funny. It's fucked up, but it's
We
kind of
deserve
funny.
it.
Dave,
The chickens don't, but we do.
those poor chickens. So many chickens. They're all dead. Dave, did you have anything fun or you trying to get skinny?
I was working.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was the
Good
only
stuff.
motherfucker that wasn't left that wasn't going to the Super Bowl party, so I got the shift.
Poor David. We had some chicken wings, eating meat again.
John's eating meat again.
So,
So fucking crazy. This is so crazy.
Yeah.
chicken wings, buffalo chicken dip, pretzel
How would-
knots.
How would the restaurant we worked at that had to make an exception for their meal every single time you had a shift meal, how would they feel about the fact that you're just eating chicken wings now?
They didn't make us a fucking shift meal. You just ordered like a salad or a pasta. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, and
It
the
was just
salad
like-
they gave you is definitely the food that rabbits eat at best, for sure.
They would give me, I became very good friends with those guys. They would give me incredible pastas. Do you remember that?
I do.
So spicy.
I remember. All right, you guys
All
want
right,
to talk about
That's all I
2005?
care about. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Take us back.
All right, I'm going to keep it tight here. You ready? We like to
What?
start with the box office. Let's do it. Box office 2005. I'm going to give you the top 10, but let's see if you can guess what was the highest grossing film that came out in the film year 2005 at the worldwide box office.
Oh God, it's got to be
Was it one of the Matrixes?
Harry Potter.
Is this can't be the. Is this the year of both of them? No, the Matrix.
I've only
didn't come out this
seen-
year. Dave.
Goblet of Fire. Is that
Goblet.
what you're asking?
Wait, so what? What'd you say? Dave said something about a Matrix. What the fuck, John? What did you say?
Is it not Goblet of Fire? Harry Potter?
All right, fine. You get it. You fucking dick. Yeah, you get it. So,
Yeah.
Goblet of Fire, Warner Brothers. That's right. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
It was a good one.
I think I saw the midnight show on a Thursday night and then went to an 8 a.m. class the next day.
Nerd.
That was one that, yeah. That was the one where the whole world went, fuck, this is not
Hey.
a kid's movie.
No, I wasn't a nerd. I went to ballet.
Oh man,
That was my 8
you're
a.m.
right.
class.
Nerd was not the word.
Something else. Number 2, Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge
Oh
of the
yeah,
Sith,
yeah.
20th
That was-
Century Fox,
that was my second
Which-
guess.
which actually won the domestic box office battle by a lot. I'm going to give you a bit of trivia there in a second, but let me get through the top 10. Chronicles of Narnia: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe
Wow.
for Buena Vista comes in at number 3 with $745 million worldwide. War of the Worlds, Paramount and DreamWorks, comes in at $600 million. King Kong which I definitely saw in theaters, came out in fifth for Universal at $562 million. Peter Jackson, was he healthy by this point? Did he get well by King Kong after the...
I think so, because they made him get well for Lord of the Rings so he could make all three of them.
He did not. He barely hung on.
He had at least one heart attack, I think, during the Lord of the Rings.
So did I.
You know, speaking of The Sopranos, remember how the pilot of The Sopranos, Tony Soprano, has 2 heart attacks in like a week?
He's just like mad and angry.
Rounding out the top 5, Madagascar for DreamWorks comes in at 6th. Sorry, rounding out the top 10. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Brad and Angelina, tore up one marriage, created another one that would get torn apart later in life. $487 million at number 7. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that's the Burton Depp remake. You got Batman Begins at number 9. And Hitch comes in at number 10 with $371 million.
How did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory get more than Batman Begins?
This is worldwide, so worldwide. But the comic book thing was American first. I feel like it was mostly domestic for Batman Begins. Fantastic Four was number 11 with $333 million. So Dave, Fantastic Four outside of the top 10, but not by much. Kingdom of Heaven, for what it's worth, was 17th with $218 million on a $130 million budget. So not great, but it's technically made some money. 52 movies made $100 million in 2005. Do you know how many made $100 million in 2024? 39. That's right. So even though all of the numbers have gone crazy, streaming has ruined everything. So it's really hard to keep up, except Argyle was not one of them because it sucked. The overall box office receipt. It also came out on Apple or some shit right away. Overall box office receipts were down 11%, both domestically and abroad, as compared to 2004. How about that for some film news there?
Then 2020 was like, hold my fucking beer.
That's right. A little bit of trivia here. You ready? So Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, while it came in second in the worldwide box office, it was the highest grossing domestic picture, as we just said. It
America
reached
loves
a
an
record
emperor.
high. It reached a record. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith reaches a record high at the box office on opening day with $50 million on 9,400 screens at 3,661 theaters worldwide, edging out Spider-Man 2's top opening day record of $40 million and Shrek's top single day record, $44 million. So $50 million in one day. Do you know where that stands right now?
As in, like, what is $50 million in the first day?
No, how many films have made more than $50 million in a day since this movie? It was number
less
1.
Than 20,
what is it now?
probably. It's pretty good.
I'd say
still.
6.
50 million in a day?
Yeah.
It ranks 98th. In 20 years, 97 movies have made higher than that single day totals, except it's actually not 97 movies. Endgame, for instance, is number 1 with $157 million. That came out Friday, April 26th, 2019. Endgame also has the number 4 highest grossing day of $109 million, which was the next day, Saturday. And it also has the number 10 highest grossing day, which is Sunday, of $90 million. 3 of the top 10 single day grosses came from Endgame in the same weekend over the same time. So things got a little fucked since then. Oh, my light went off here on this fucking thing again. But we're talking about 2005 really quick. Pierce Brosnan officially announces that he will be resigning the role of James Bond, even though everybody else already decided that for him, because Daniel Craig was already announced in 2005. They announced Daniel Craig as Pierce Brosnan was retiring. That was basically the same time. Pierce Brosnan hadn't done a film since Die Another Day in 2002. Let's see. The Golden Palm, which I can't believe they said Golden Palm instead of Palme d'Or. Palme d'Or. I know it's not Dior. I know. Fuck everybody. The Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival went to L'Enfant, directed by Jean-Pierre and Luc Dardenne. And the Grand Prix award is rewarded to Broken Flowers, while the prize for Best Director was given to Michael Haneke for Cachet. Do you know who won the Palme d'Or this year, John? Do you remember?
No.
I think it was Anora. I think he won that and the Jury Prize. I can't fucking remember.
Oh, this year? Yeah. Our year is Anora. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's funny. They talk about Batman Begins, and they say after an 8-year absence, as if it was a century. 8 years since Batman, and Batman's back with the Christopher Nolan film. And the American Film Institute holds its 100 years, 100 movie quotes this year in 2005. The greatest film quote of all time, they decided, was
Here's looking at you, kid.
Close. That was in the top
Frankly,
10 for sure.
Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Go on with
Frankly,
it,
my
that's
dear,
right.
I don't give a damn.
And last
They
but
might
not
be
least
right
in
on
the
that
news
one.
before.
I would have picked
Last
on
but not
Batman.
least in the film news. Also, how funny is it that the film almost got censored because of the word "damn" in it?
Yeah.
Out of the fucking 3.5-hour movie, which also had an
now
overture.
it just has a dated themes warning.
Roger Ebert published his list of his most hated films, which featured 3 2005 movies: Constantine, Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo, and A Lot Like Love. There you go. For Roger Ebert.
You forget sometimes that these critics see everything. He watched Deuce Bigalow.
Yeah.
What was he going to say? Was he going to write about it? Was he going to write an article about it?
Honestly, I think he probably was hoping, like, I'm going to fucking champion the shit out of this hilarious comedy if it's good.
I mean, that's how this show got started. Remember the critics used to like roast the fuck out of stuff.
That's right.
They saw it all.
Even the good ones. Even the good ones. All right, a little bit of award stuff here. So Brokeback Mountain had the most nominations with 8, but 4 movies would tie with 3 awards at the ceremony itself. That would be Brokeback Mountain, of course. Crash, which of course famously would win Best Picture over Brokeback Mountain in one of the most awkward moments in Oscars history. Not as awkward as La La Land Moonlight, but pretty high up there. Or not as awkward as Anthony Hopkins winning Best Actor.
And not being there.
And not being there. And it was the last event because they moved Best Picture, and then Joaquin Phoenix didn't want to be there nor present it. He was so good. So Brokeback Mountain, Crash, King Kong, and Memoirs of a Geisha all won 3 Oscars apiece.
Memoirs of a Geisha.
Oh, fucking hell. That's right. Brokeback Mountain would win Picture and Director, of course, for Ang Lee. That would be his first of 2. Do you remember what his second Oscar was for? Directors?
Ang Lee is... I thought Crouching Tiger came out before
he
that.
Did not win for Crouching Tiger. I think that was the same year as Traffic. He won for... sorry, I burped. He won. I mean, okay, for Best Director. I believe he also technically won like Best Foreign Language Film, is what it was called at the time. He won for Life of Pi. 2012. He beat Lincoln and shit. Philip Seymour Hoffman would win his Oscar for Capote. Joaquin Phoenix would win the Golden Globe for Musical or Comedy for Walk the Line. Reese Witherspoon would win the Oscar and the Golden Globe for Walk the Line. Paul Giamatti would not win for Cinderella Man, even though I wish he did. At the for supporting actor, that would actually go to Alan Arkin. No, sorry. George Clooney for Syriana would go on to win. And then Rachel Weisz won for The Constant Gardener, and she looked great. She looked great doing it. Brokeback Mountain and Crash won the 2 writing awards. Wallace and Gromit won the animated award. And It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp was both performed and won at the Oscar. And Tootsie won Best Foreign Language Film. Any other movies you want to call out? I have a whole list of them somewhere in here, but any that jump out to you?
What movie was It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp was associated with?
Hustle and Flow. You know that movie?
Oh, yeah, I do know that movie. That's a good movie. It's a fun one.
Any other ones you want to shout out? I have a couple here, but I want to give you the chance. What do you think?
I mean, this is, just like every other year, there's some really fun ones. For the big stuff, we got like Sin City. We got Wedding Crashers, the really popular big stuff.
Wedding Crashers came in at number 13 with $288 million worldwide.
Definitely want to shout out Cronenberg's History of Violence. The other Middle Eastern conflict movie, Steven Spielberg's Munich, which got no love that year. But it's a Steven Spielberg movie, and some people might feel like there's maybe a little too soft around the edges sometimes, but I thought that was a very powerful movie. I still like watching that one. It's intense. 40-Year-Old Virgin came out this year. That's also intense. But that and Wedding Crashers came out the same fucking year.
Crazy.
I mean, that is nuts. Hitchhiker's Guide. Definitely want to call that one out. And then we also have some smaller movies that I think are important to mention, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I feel like
that's a great film. For sure. It's a great film.
Yeah, it's really fun. Wasn't that Shane Black's first movie he directed?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. Excuse me, there was just one more I wanted to call out. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Let's keep going.
Little Corpse Bride. Corpse Bride's in there.
Sure. Corpse Bride.
You didn't say Herbie Fully Loaded? I'm so surprised. I actually really
Somehow
like
I missed Herbie.
I enjoyed The Exorcism of Emily Rose when I saw it in theaters, so I'll shout that out.
I saw it in theaters too. I remember thinking like, oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, Saw 2. Yeah, wasn't it Tom Wilkinson?
The Descent,
fuck yeah.
Wolf Creek.
Saw 2 was the last
horror,
Saw I ever
Hostel.
saw.
Wow, Descent, Hostel, and Wolf Creek came out in the same year.
Oh yeah,
Those are
I kind of like
intense,
Descent.
dark, gory movies.
Torture porn.
All right. Torture porn.
Honestly.
The Ring and The Ring 2. A little more torture there. Ring 2. Okay, cool. I'm gonna keep this part cooking here. So first, the segue from film news into the world events. Couple firsts. The U.S. Office, Grey's Anatomy, How I Met Your Mother, Dave, all came out this year. And also, did I say Hell's Kitchen introduced us Gordon Ramsay here in 2005? We all know who he is now, but 2005 was where I certainly first heard of him. Lionel Messi scored his first goal, his first senior club goal at the age of 17 for FC Barcelona. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo book and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince came out this year. So Goblet of Fire and then Half-Blood Prince came out the same year, so you can see how they were overlapping the books and the movies at the time. She better keep fucking writing. Dave might know this better than me, but Christopher Eccleston was the 9th Doctor. He premiered this year, and he also ended this year, and David Tennant was introduced as the 10th Doctor. How did that happen? Did they already know they were going to replace him when they did the series? Like, how did they already...
No, there were things. He just kind of... He didn't... I don't think he really enjoyed the role. There's some doctors don't last as long as others.
He lasted one series, or about 10 or 13 episodes, and then they flipped him at the end of the season with David Tennant, who lasted longer.
And got a second run.
And got a second run? Okay. Yeah, later. Yeah, years later. But Eccleston did do, right? Didn't he come back? Didn't he do a little cameo later? Didn't they bring all the doctors back?
They all turn up in like specials, because occasionally the doctors cross paths.
More about the 2005 world news. A Republican president started his second term. Israel left the Gaza Strip. There was a bird flu outbreak. Fernando Alonso won the F1 title. People had opinions about FEMA's natural disaster relief efforts. There were riots in France. There were issues surrounding the Supreme Court.
Dude,
so very different from our world 20 years later.
You've got the wrong year. Humans never learn.
Scientists discover the skull of a sea-dwelling crocodile that lived 135 million years ago. Unlike other crocodiles, it has a short snout, and its ancestors are still alive. Say hi, Dave.
G'day, Croc. That's a big one.
135 million years ago. Right off the coast of Australia, I'm sure. Yeah. Astronomers at the California Institute of Technology find a rocky, icy planet they believe is larger than Pluto and may in fact be another planet. Just as long as Pluto's a planet, I can add to the solar system, but I refuse to subtract. I don't care if it's an uninhabitable ice ball that barely moves. It takes a fucking million years to get around the sun once. I don't fucking care. It's a goddamn planet. You can't take that back on me.
So is New York right now.
Yeah, exactly, Dave. South Korean cloning scientist Hwang Woo-suk steps down from the Seoul National University after an investigative panel at the university reports that he falsified the paper in which he claimed that he cloned 11 human embryos and extracted stem cells from them. How could you lie about fucking what the fuck am I saying? About cloning humans.
Yeah.
How could you lie about that?
Yeah.
People are going to ask, can we see it? It's like a magician being like, I can make people disappear.
Up,
let's see it.
The scientific community was immediately outraged because you're not allowed to do that stuff with people.
So he's like, I did something illegal and I can't prove it because I falsified the information. So this fucking guy. Okay. Actually, like I say in these things, I try to avoid the war shit. Although Israel did leave Gaza, I think some college students they forgot that Israel left Gaza a long time ago and that shares borders with other countries. But yes, Israel left Gaza. They were not occupying Gaza. They were not in the Gaza Strip after 2005. The Sudanese government and the Southern rebels signed a peace agreement to end a 20-year civil war that has claimed the lives of 2 million people. That's right. The Sudanese government and the Southern rebels. In Sudan, 2 million people died. And I believe there's still shit going on. Am I wrong about that?
It's happening as we speak.
Well, the peace deal, just like the Palestinian Authority and Israel deal of, was it 1996, the Clinton one? Just like that one, I guess it didn't hold very well for Sudan here. I don't see people protesting about the Sudan, but anyway. London was hit by Islamic terrorists.
So I think we're 1 year away from the 13-day war in 2006.
I see.
Between-
Okay.
Yeah. Jesus.
See, this is why I don't do the hard shit. This is why I don't do it. I just want to give some context for why we're talking about a religious war in Jerusalem. Fuck. I got to do the hard shit. Damn it. Fuck. I got to give the Israel stuff. London was hit by Islamic terrorist bombings, killing 52 and wounding 700. It is Britain's worst attack since World War II. It's on July 7th. Pope John Paul II dies, and Pope Benedict XVI becomes the next pope less than a month later. So all relevant to our movie Kingdom of Heaven, huh? Tony Blair becomes the Labour Party prime minister, the first one to win 3 consecutive terms, but his party loses a lot of seats, so he knew his time was running short. The European Union abandons plans to ratify the proposed European Constitution by 2006 after both France and the Netherlands vote against it. Why do they think that all these countries were going to be in agreement about stuff? It's actually hilarious. It's like, we should have a European Union. Yes, let's have a constitution. There's no way that they're all going to agree on it. No way. Some border the Mediterranean, some are islands, some border Russia. How could they all possibly agree on a constitution? It makes no sense. A 7.6 earthquake centered in the Pakistani-controlled part of the Kashmir region kills 80,000 and leaves an estimated 4 million homeless.
There's a lot of P words in this bit tonight.
You know,
Plosives.
pop in my microphone, you dick. Plosives. Millions of Iraqi voters ratify a new constitution. 70% of registered Iraqi voters showed up to the election. Oh, did you hear that, America? 70% of registered voters in fucking Iraq voted. And in America, we get half at best. And look what happens. And then we all complain. And it's like, former Iraqi President Saddam Hussein goes on trial for the killing of 143 people in the town of Dujah. That's it?
That's
killing
it.
of 143 people?
That's it.
It's in a crime in 1982. That's all we could get him to go to trial for? Anyway, Israel evacuated about 8,000 Israeli settlers from the Gaza Strip, which had been occupied for 38 years. Angela Merkel, leader of the Christian Democratic Union, which narrowly prevailed over Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder's Social Democratic Party in September, she became the first female chancellor and was there for, 15 years? Good for you, Angela.
Okay.
Hurricane Katrina was this year. That was the biggest news event of the year, according to everybody that they asked. I don't have to get into Hurricane Katrina. That's the botched FEMA situation. Let's finish out on a high note. According to Neeson, Mariah Carey's Emancipation of Mimi was the best-selling album of 2005, selling nearly 5 million copies, and her song We Belong Together was the most played song on the radio. Don't forget that Gwen Stefani's Holla Back Girl came out this year and was the most downloaded song of the year. It was downloaded more than 1.7 million times. That's the news. 2005. That's what I got.
Excellent.
Mm.
Quite a year. The whole post-war on terror, war right in the heart of war on terror, but post 9/11, like just right in the fucking thick of it. We're like a little less than 2 years into the Iraq War. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a crazy time to be thinking about. George Bush just won like a big re-election. I mean, it's nuts, dude. It's nuts looking back at that time. We thought it was so corrupt. We thought it was so out of control. Little did we know.
Let's see how
Oh my
crazy
God.
it fucking gets. Jesus.
Oh my
right.
God.
Shall we?
Are you guys ready to talk about Kingdom of Heaven?
Yeah, let's move
Yeah,
on.
let's do it.
All right. So we like to keep it consistent. I'm going to read the IMDb description to send it on our way. We've already talked about who's seen it and who has not. Dave and I have not seen it. So Dave, it looks like it's going to be coming your way here in a second. And I had this prepped up until I looked up the fucking gorge over here off to the side.
Gorge.
Kingdom of Heaven. Ridley Scott. Was it his, again, I had this set up. Was it his next film after Gladiator? Or was there was something in between, right? That guy makes a movie every year, right? You say, yeah, of course. Yeah. How do you know, this is like 3 years later and this is a fucking huge movie. What did he make after Gladiator?
He made, he made Hannibal in 2001, Black Hawk Down 2001, Matchstick Men, his small movie after somebody in his family died, and then Thunder Perfect Mine. Oh, it's a short. It's a commercial, and then Kingdom of Heaven. So four feature films. That's great.
Okay, I'll eat a little bit of shoot off my boot. I love that John's drinking. I buzz myself, but it's okay. You can drink too, John.
He's thirsty.
So I'm going to read the IMDb description.
Mm.
Balian of Ibelin travels to Jerusalem during the Crusades of the 12th century, and there he finds himself as the defender of the city and its people. Wow, they make this movie seem simple. That is Kingdom of Heaven in a nutshell. We like to start with what you think, what you feel, not like those stuffy critics like apparently Roger Ebert.
Yeah, right.
Dave, you haven't seen it, neither have I.
I hadn't.
What'd you think of Kingdom of Heaven?
I found it a little unrealistic.
Sure.
Interesting.
I mean, they start out with peaceful intentions and acceptance of other cultures and everything, and then some super racist fucking religious cunts come in and took over and caused a war. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I thought you were going to
It's
say
what we do, Dave. It's what we do, baby.
See, I thought you were going to say it was the dragons that made it unrealistic.
No.
Nope, it's the
I'm
racial
joking.
tension.
I do jest. This, I like I said before, it seemed a weird choice to put the overture before the Fox logo, because then it suddenly cuts to a 20th Century Fox theme in the middle of the overture, and it kind of takes you out of it a bit. That's probably the only complaint I have about this movie.
Oh, nice,
wow.
dude.
Yeah, it is the epitome of show don't tell. All the dialogue serves like either character introduction or development. And I'm very, very happy that fucking Michael Sheen, who's introduced right at the beginning of the movie, the character that he plays, never did someone get what was coming to them more than that sniveling fucking weasel. Like, yeah, and they don't make it wait either.
That is not. I was trying to remember because I did want to watch the theatrical cut, but I'm pretty sure that was not in there at all.
Yeah,
the king part
with his,
where he.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't,
sure.
that's a big misstep to not have that in there because that was awesome.
Why not have that in there?
Awesome, right? Isn't that cool?
mean, the scale of it is something you just don't see in a film anymore. Like he knows how to do this time period really well. We've seen a few of them now, and yeah, I'll hold up to keep it short for that. But yeah, it was like long, but you couldn't stop watching it.
I'm with you. It definitely felt long, but it also felt like you have to keep going. I don't always say that with battle movies because sometimes with battle movies it's like, okay, can you just tell me who wins?
Well, that's
like,
the
I don't
thing.
Need to see strategy.
The battles,
war strategy.
The battles they didn't draw out. Like
no.
I know a lot of people have a problem with battle films where they like, but there's also plot developments and character development happening during the battle as well, and it's like there wasn't a wasted frame.
Nice.
Jeff, yeah, you go.
I think I feel very, very similarly to Dave. Orlando Bloom is tricky for me. I'm trying to figure it out. There's a lot of like he certainly did the job. I don't know if he transcended it. I don't know if he could. It wasn't exactly Brad and Troy, but I feel like he was a good. Like the director just said, just let me just tell you what to do or something. Like yes, he did his job. I'm not saying he's not good, but I do feel like that could have made the movie better if there was something more interesting about the lead character, the performance of the lead character. Other than that, I was really fascinated by it, and I thought the touch, like, of course, it has like a little bit of a lean of like you're kind of rooting for the Christians over the Muslims in this situation, and they can't escape that. But I do feel like they handled it well. So while I might say like, well,
except for the French are bastards seems to be a central theme of this movie.
And that works. And again, there were riots in France in 2005.
I'm behind
so this checks out. Movies are always made for the time they come out in. So yeah, I was really into it, and I love the respect that Salahadim had, who was the leader of the Muslim army at this time, and I'm into it, and they did a good job too, where it's not just a true story, but it sort of is a somewhat realistic depiction of what could have transpired between the Second and Third Crusades. So this apparently is when, I guess, the Second Crusade or somewhere where the Third Crusade, Muslims lost the city. But I really enjoyed it, and I'm fascinated to talk more about it. And I could use more. I feel like it felt almost risky to me, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't feel risky. We should be able to talk about these things. But even, they say like, it's blasphemy to say like the ruins, like the Jerusalem is about the people, not about the ruins. And they're like, it's blasphemy. And I was like, fucking yeah, like I feel like we should be able to say these things and we don't. So I really appreciated this movie for that. But I don't know if I loved it, and I wonder if the main performance could have helped me out a little bit. What do you think, John?
Nice. Yeah. Ridley Scott has balls for sure. I don't think he was afraid to say what needed to be said.
It didn't seem like he was doing anything it wasn't like, oh, that's bold. Like everything just seemed pretty normal, like to say though,
Clearly, when you're dealing with like historical stuff, everybody's going to be like weighing it against historical accuracy, which can be frustrating.
I did have to look it up.
Yeah, and there are certain things. I think there are certain things that matter. I read this one thing that I thought kind of said this well. The filmmakers were adamant that their hero be the man who surrendered Jerusalem, but that was where their fidelity to history ended. They started taking more liberties around that concept. He really wanted us to have this outside perspective, so that I think Orlando Bloom's Night or Night Rising would be our perspective as he learns more about that world, the war, the land, the conflict, the history, literally going all the way to the top, so that he has like a relationship with the king at the time and then gets to speak to the other king. It gets kind of crazy. But what might be sacrificed in doing that, and Jeff, I don't know if it's on the page or in the performance, is that I'm not quite sure what Orlando Bloom's character's flaw was. He would say out loud at that time in history, my flaw is that I question whether God exists and the point of religion. In terms of like a modern audience is watching a movie, I'm not quite sure he had any internal flaws where there was something that he had to overcome to be a better version of himself. He kind of was given the knighthood, and then he was the perfect knight, kind of from beginning to end.
Well, he had the grief bit that he had to overcome, where he basically shut down.
Yeah, but it never really stopped him, did it? Like he kind of overcame that when he left town at the beginning, which was a beautiful way to end the movie. That his kingdom of heaven actually ended up being somewhere more similar to where he began.
He went back to his house. There's a fucking charred skeleton still in the house, probably, and you're going to live there?
That's a good point.
But my big picture is that I really, really, really liked it. Dave, I don't think I loved it as much as you did. This movie still maybe hasn't gotten there for me, but I'm going to rewatch it at least 2 or 3 more times for sure at some point in my life. I love so much these kinds of movies. Like Ridley Scott really might be one of the only people that makes stuff like this. It made me want to watch his Napoleon director's cut.
I want to get the numbers on day player contracts. Because they had some big names, and it's like, here's your contract. They're like, this is only a day. Yeah, that's all we need you for.
Oh, God.
How did Ridley get people to work for scale?
The first time when him and those like several knights are like holding off like that one castle, and the reveal on the horizon of the Christians coming with the cross and the sun. I mean, it's Ridley is just unreal at this stuff. So
I'm just talking about the amount of major characters they wipe out in the first half hour.
You got to do it, right? With this kind of storytelling. Part of me feels like I would recommend this one just for the scale. Like if you like big movies, if you like historical stuff.
If you like big
Sure. Then this is like, it's just full of it. The filmmaking is so engaging. It's so entertaining that I think you're going to enjoy watching it. But if you want the drama as well and the historical stuff.
Yeah, there were the production meetings where they're like, okay, so we're going to do a wide and I want 50 medieval ships in the background. It's like...
Honestly, like the shamelessness of it is...
Like the wide...
Is really,
and there's just fucking boats everywhere. It was epic.
Yeah, and people and the battle stuff and even the battles, like you said, don't necessarily feel like they're all about action. I mean, that one battle I just described where it's less knights and the entire Muslim army, that was probably my favorite actual like battle scene. Very Kurosawa with the horses, the attacks. I loved the way they shot it once they were off the horses. It was really fantastic. But I think more than anything else, it really kind of made me realize that this period in history, and it goes to what you're saying, Jeff, like you want more. This period in history and having a director so shamelessly just kind of getting in there with a really dirty hands and just trying to bring something essential to a modern audience that's post 9/11, that's thinking about this stuff constantly. Like, how do I kind of bring these themes back? This is a period of history where we haven't made many movies about it in a long time. They used to make them more often. We've made some satires about it and stuff, but there's so much to learn from what was happening right now. And politically, for him to just pull out a little period of that time, I think most people, if you really sat down and gave it a shot, I think you would find it extremely engaging because you're going to realize very quickly, you didn't realize the full context of how many crusades there were. You probably hadn't heard of any of these characters, and it's all the exact same story that you've heard before. So like, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're familiar with the ideas around why they were fighting, but you didn't know it was maybe this detailed in terms of like, oh, these people, how did they communicate back then? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Also,
who was launching the war?
Yeah.
You know, it was the Pope, but still, I mean,
It's like
pretty
two-
remarkable.
there, yeah.
But like two fucking armies sitting there while the two leaders ride out and have a chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, and
you
then
know,
also the different,
g'day,
like,
we going to fight?
I thought
Yeah, we'll fight.
there's a nice little reveal. There's a nice little reveal at the end too, with England, you know, of course, and these are all
Yeah.
funny. Now,
Where
now that
Richard
we've all
shows
seen,
up.
now that we've all seen Game of Thrones and Harry Potter, like even the smaller, the people like who are famous now were probably working for scale back then. You fucking Jaime Lannister working for scale, basically, probably in this film. You have, you know, anyway, Ser Jorah is in this.
And it
It's
still
all
had
these
better lighting.
people. We didn't talk about the cast at all. We have fucking Ava Green, who was the second bill in this. Yeah, Dave. We have Liam Neeson, who has a very similar storyline and that he does in Gangs of New York, by the way. You have Michael Sheen.
And Star Wars.
You have David Thewlis, who apparently was on top of the world here in 2005. This is right, and he's in the middle of the Harry Potter movies too at this point.
Apparently, he was
He's
based on
very,
the real
he's
character.
very good
Mecca.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. Yada, yada, yada. There's more. Brendan Gleeson. Jeremy Irons has
Yeah.
a huge role in this. Edward Norton. You don't even know it's him. It's like, what a role. I was like, I'll wear a mask. Fuck yeah, why not? I mean, it's just, there's brilliant, 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 brilliant stuff. I think it's so cool because I also think too, you have to, we're here now. We don't have to get too into the religious stuff, but it's Christians and Muslims fighting over the city that we now know is run by the Jews. And it is weird, but it's a democracy, but it's a Jewish state. So the complications of that, and it's sort of co-shared with some Muslims. I don't mean to be put that down, but clearly Israel is in charge of that, as being very, they're being very hard about who gets to control this. And here we are watching Christians and Muslims just fight over this, and ultimately it comes down to like so many other things. It's in the middle of the desert, so there's no water anywhere. If you're not in Jerusalem, you're in the middle of a desert. It's like, I'm not saying it's not worth fighting over anything at all. I'm not saying that at all. But it just sort of puts everything into perspective. You can't help but sit there and be like, why? Whereas now it's like, we're almost like, I feel like we're not allowed to ask why anymore. Like, why? Why are we doing this? Why? Because everybody just gets mad at each other. But the why is there the whole time. And I do like that in Orlando Bloom's. I don't know if it's, I guess it is in his performance. He does a pretty good job. Even his little things like, they're here because you have the one horseman. And like, maybe it's a lone ranger. And he goes, no, they're here. And then and then Ridley shows you the rest of the people behind it. It's like, you sit there, you can't help but sit there and be like, why? And I think that actually helps carry me through the 3 hours. And I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to be like, did any of this need to happen? Did all these people need to die? And I feel like he does a really good job where he's not answering any questions. He just makes me think about it more and more every time.
I mean, I think it's important to, the question of why Salah al-Din was reminded by one of his consigliaries, basically, like, you promised our people that you would take it back, but he didn't actually do that until they kidnapped his sister, until the Templars took one of his family members. And he was like kind of last straw. So I think they, you don't want to paint anybody as like these perfect heroes. And, I come from Turkish heritage, so I've certainly heard, like, being over there and seeing so many historical documents and places and the way that they talk about that time. There's a lot of places in Istanbul that are from earlier Christian times when it was Constantinople, and they're still there. They're not destroyed. As the symbolism at the very end when he picks the cross up, like, he lets the people walk away. There's a whole lot of themes here of seeing this film specifically through the eyes of an American.
Yeah.
Like, and not just a Christian or a Muslim, but like specifically somebody from the West who is looking at this kind of this conflict of ideology and the way people seem to go about it. And that question of why, I think, clearly was what Ridley was trying to say. That's why they used this character, this perfect knight, as somebody who was kind of saying, in my own way, I am an activist against these ideologies. I believe in the virtues of knighthood, which is almost the weirdest part about this movie for me, is that you always kind of forget, you have your Monty Python and the Holy Grail and stuff. Like, you can't disassociate the knights and King Arthur and them from the Crusades. But sometimes when you watch movies like this or read books about it, you do kind of forget that, like, oh yeah, this was like the age of the fucking knights. Like the culture in the West, specifically in the Christian cultures around knighthood. It's just kind of funny that they existed simultaneously, isn't it?
That's why
there's an
that's why we get 2
ideology,
Crusades movies
and then
in a
there's
row.
it's weird, right? There's an ideology in the Christianity aspect, which I hope we can talk a little bit about that. I mean, even from the beginning with Liam Neeson, the way that they discuss the reason why they're doing this. But then there's also this other thing, which you're actually supposed to really hold on to with Orlando Bloom the entire time, which is that what's much more important is that oath he took to be a good person, to always tell the truth, to fight for what you believe in. And I guess that could be ideological, but at the end, and to be really good at war, to be a really good fighter. Like, don't those things can't be separate. You have to also be willing to fight. I feel like that was the most interesting thing to me this time, which was that you go into this movie kind of thinking like, oh, I'm going to learn more about the Crusades. But actually, I think you learn, I don't know. What did you guys feel? For me, I feel like each time I watch this,
you kind of learn how they had no business being there.
Well, sure that they had no business being there, but I'm more aware that the people in the walls of Jerusalem actually represent what most people experience on this planet when they think of ideology and religious ideology. They don't actually subscribe to it. It's just the loudest voice in the room kind of thing. And we're just trying to navigate like how to not upset the people who have the loudest voices in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems kind of crazy to me. This movie ends with a retreat, like a peaceful retreat away from that fight.
I was like,
it's pretty remarkable.
I was surprised that he took the yield. I was surprised. Yeah.
Apparently, that speech he gives is actually fairly accurate historically. When Orlando Bloom says, "I'll burn it to the ground. I'll destroy everything that you care about, that they care about, before I let you take the city." And he kind of, he clarifies, he's talking about the people of Jerusalem. Before you hurt them, I'll burn every stone in there to the ground. And that's the point. And apparently that it was something like that historically, where Saladin offered terms. Then you can take the people and you can go to somewhere that's Christian held, and I'll make sure you get there safely out of the city. And I feel like ultimately that's got to be the biggest theme of all this. But where does it come from, you guys? I'm curious. Like, what did you think about? Did you think that Liam Neeson and his guys subscribed to the ideology of the Christian war, the Great War of crusading the world into Christianity?
Not at the point we met them.
What did you think?
I think he'd seen enough to draw his own conclusions. He was his character was smart in that, like, he knew how to, for lack of a better word, rule over people as such. And so I feel like he probably went off with those intentions and with that, like, thought, but all the killing that he'd seen as he comes back probably took a lot of that fight out of him.
It's easy to other the Christians and Muslims a little bit, and I think that Ridley had to do some work to pull them back together to make them seem more similarly aligned. And maybe Liam Neeson, who had respect for everybody, still was like, well, I don't know if he prescribed everything, but he's still on this team. He's still on that side.
Yeah.
And
I mean, but
if he's going to be a
it's
fighter
like,
and a leader of men, he wants to be on the winning team.
It's like when you go to a protest and those motherfuckers that tip the cars and set them on fire and shit, and you're like, why are those dickheads here? It was like, it kind of, like, you've got the Templars shouting "God wills it" as they go and slaughter innocent people, and stuff, just so they can justify it. And God didn't will it; they just wanted to slaughter those people.
Yeah, it does seem like that idea of it's. I mean, it's just so. It's literal, right? And they say it several times in the movie. People's different perspectives on what the kingdom of heaven actually meant.
which is great. That's great.
But what one thing seems to be entirely true, and not just from the movie, but from the history of mankind, those that argue that peace only comes through violence are ignoring the fact that, but then there is always violence. So as opposed to like trying to find like your own personal kingdom of heaven and make peace with the world around you, like making people bow to your will and to your God might end the fighting, but it definitely doesn't lead to, the peace the kingdom of heaven was supposed to be offering. And again, I feel like Ridley did do a good job of not just the beginning and the end, but I feel like Orlando's character's real kingdom of heaven, where he really found who he was when he took over his father's land.
Yeah.
Built the well.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was
My
happy.
kingdom of heaven would be, here, you inherited a whole lot of stuff. Land, yes. Money, yes. Whatever. I'd be like, okay, great. This is my kingdom of heaven. That would be mine too.
Yeah. But it was just so obvious, wasn't it? Like, imagine, again, we're in our proverbial room with our writer's room, and we have our storyboards everywhere, and we're making our movie before we're actually shooting it. And we were talking about this sequence where he gets handed this like dry patch of land and turns it into this oasis. Is that too on the nose? It worked for me. I thought that was a really moving sequence.
But
it definitely established his character as someone who can motivate the people, and so he
was a little Jesus-y,
was developing as a leader. Yeah.
A little messianic, of course, but come on, you didn't find it a little cheesy when they're like, God, we need to get some water here. I have an idea. Let's dig for a well. And they were like, okay. And they dug and they found a well literally on the first try.
They dug a lot of wells,
oh my God.
dude. There were
and then all of a sudden
wells.
it was green. Get the fuck
Sorry, you're
out
probably
of here.
taking a
I was
piss
like,
during that
come on.
scene.
He was like, I have an idea. Let's dig a well. And they were like, we love this guy.
Slave labor, baby.
I have one more. I'm going to drink, Dave.
It is cheesy
one more
for sure.
gripe. They were way too articulate for the 1100s. I know we speak English. They probably wouldn't have spoken like actual English, but they were all speaking like they were fucking Oxford philosophers for this movie. That is Monty Python when they're talking about like feudal lands and stuff, and like the guys like moving shit around and like moving mud.
Yeah, so you
like,
can't really turn up in Jerusalem. It's like, oi, cobber, dig me a well, and I got this spot on me dick. Like, it's,
that is closer to how they would have sounded than they did in this movie. So I have one little gripe.
But we almost exclusively heard from educated, mostly men. It's not like there were scenes with the people. That one guy had
educated men and one smart woman.
That one dude, the grave digger, remember? He had a Cockney accent.
Yeah.
Remember? He's like, right, Queen of Jerusalem. That guy.
So I feel a little bad for Ridley. Really, your main character's wife died crazily, and then he went to the big city to find fame. This is your movie, and then you're mad when people say from the director of Gladiator. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. And the Michael Sheen stuff was good.
Real fast, to your point, I just want to call out how well written. And by the way, I do want to mention this before I move on at all. The writer of this movie, you guys, I don't know if you looked it up, but William Monahan, this was his first screenplay that he sold and got made.
Wow.
This is the first credit, followed by, ready for this? The Departed, Body of Lies,
Jesus.
Edge of Darkness, London Boulevard, The Gambler, Mojave, not quite as popular, The Tender Bar, Marlowe a few years ago. But right out of the gate, Kingdom of Heaven, Departed, Body of Lies. It's pretty impressive. I feel like the writing of Ed Norton's King, the Leper King, which is a real person.
Oh, yeah.
You're rubbing your temple. You're rubbing your temple. Not Knights Templar, but your temple so hard. I thought you were about to say something bad. So you're going to say something good.
I am going to say something good. I think it doesn't do what you were saying. I feel like they underwrote him in a really good way. Very commedia dell'arte, with a beautiful face and everything. There's so much to perceive in somebody who knows how to use a mask correctly in a performance. But it was the writing that shocked me. That they really did make him speak less than he may have, people may have expected from somebody who was supposed to have that much wisdom. But apparently that was a real character. I thought that really stood out to me. So to your point, Jeff, it almost does kind of sound like, I know what you're saying specifically, that they were extremely high speech articulated, but it almost did make sense to me that the leaders
Oh, for sure.
spoke less, and everybody else around them were the chatterboxes,
Yeah.
right? And everybody couldn't.
And the respect that he had, even though he was a leper king. I mean, it's really well done. He really pulled it off. It was great. It really was great.
I'll share this story really quickly.
Oh, sorry. You go, John, and then yeah.
We can talk technical, but I'll just share that. I just forgot I was going to mention that anecdote. So I won't say who told me this story, but there were 3 people in the room when Tom Rothman came and saw the director's cut, supposedly out of this person's mouth that's telling me this story. And he's one of the people in the room.
Wait, firsthand they told you this story?
Yeah. So they're
what the fuck? How do you wait until an hour in and then you're telling us you have firsthand knowledge of somebody who was there with the person that I talked about at the beginning of the show who now runs Sony? You wait until an hour and then you're like, oh yeah, I talked to this guy about this.
It's not that juicy. It's not that juicy.
Where it happened in the second act of Hamilton?
Yeah.
It's more.
Are you in the second act of Hamilton right now?
It's more inside baseball, filmy stuff, which will be good for taking us into a technical conversation. Ridley, this person, and Tom Rothman are sitting there for 4 fucking hours watching, this fucking movie. The movie stops. Tom Rothman apparently pays attention. He's not like rude or anything. He's not like on his phone the whole time. I think he took a couple calls, but he finishes. They sit there.
I took a couple calls during this movie too. How's my podcast going? Fucking Tom.
The credits end, and Tom Rothman very calmly kind of says, "Guys, it's great. It's great. It's wonderful. You got to cut an hour out of this movie." And Ridley doesn't really argue with them. And basically they ask a few questions. They ask him like why he felt that way, what he would like to see go, and why he felt like what parts he felt like were too long. And Tom Rothman apparently expressed what they eventually did cut out, which is a real shame because I think that takes away a lot of the juice when you try to make it too much of a love story. And anyway, so the conversation wasn't actually that long, apparently. And Ridley basically just said, okay, all right, we'll get a new cut to you and blah, 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 however long it was. Tom Rothman walks out of the room, and the person who's there with Ridley, who's telling me the story, says to him, "Ridley, what the fuck, dude?" He was like mad at Ridley. They just spent months working on this version. And Ridley was like, I've got like 10 movies in the pipe with that guy. I don't give a fuck. Like he literally was like, I'm not going to jeopardize my slate of movies with this company because of this one movie. I'll release a director's cut eventually, and I don't fucking care. So I just wanted to point that out just because I think it's interesting. I think there are certain people, Orlando Bloom, who were in this movie or associated with this movie whose careers were damaged because a bad version of this movie was released into theaters. And I think it's apropos that we're talking about this right now at a season where there's a movie that is very likely going to win Best Picture, that is a very long, over 3-hour movie with an intermission that I'm sure some producer somewhere was telling him to cut an hour out of so they could get 4 more plays in per theater. And they were fucking wrong. And I have 2 people here with me who love movies, and one of them really doesn't like long movies. And this is a better version. This is such absolutely. A better version.
Well, again, maybe back to my thing at the beginning, maybe The Lord of the Rings actually was inspiring for Ridley. Not that he needed it, but maybe it was the thing that was like, if this is what we need to make our money back and keep my slates going, sure. But he's thinking legacy at this point. The legacy is going to be the director's cut. Maybe he's thinking nobody's going to rewatch the theatrical cut. People are going to rewatch the director's cut.
They do, but I guess and I love Ridley Scott. I'm not criticizing him like personally or anything, but I do just want to point out that I think that this is a reason. There are a lot of people who are below the line who might say it doesn't matter that much, but people who are in those higher positions of creative authority, it's kind of up to the person with the most authority, director, producer, whoever that is. If you're not going to fight for the best version of the film to be released, people's careers could be damaged. That's the lesson I'm trying to say. He had already proven himself 20 times over, but not everybody around him had. Who else didn't benefit from him releasing a worse version of the movie when they know the best version of the movie was right there in front of them? So it's just something interesting to think about. I keep thinking about Brady Corbett's speech at Golden Globes, where he was arguing for that director's cut. And I don't know what would have happened if people had gone to see this movie in the theater. I think more people would have seen the director's cut if they had sold it as a sword and sandal epic. You liked Gladiator? Come and see this. It's even longer. It's even better. Yeah. There's more about, Anyway,
Well, Gladiator was still sold kind of as a romance. Anyway, who was the
Technically.
first to ask? Do you think he said, I want to cast Orlando, he's cheap and I can make him do whatever he wants and he's got a good face and people know him? Or do you think it was like a Brad or something? Like, do you think he wanted that? Do you think he wanted somebody who looked good but also had more grit? Or do you think he literally was like, just give me this guy and I'll be able to... Bilbo Baggins, he said the kaleidoscope of Bilbo, where he just gives that like... He gives the hard performance, he gives the soft performance, and everything in between, so you can just edit it into whatever movie you want. He was like, I'll make my own movie if I get this guy. What do you think?
Man,
Do you think Orlando's
so
the first ask?
sorry, you're asking, was he the first ask? God, coming
He's
off Lord of the
totally
Rings,
fine.
he
He's
very
totally fine in
easily
this
could have
movie.
been.
And of course, Pirates was already out at this point too. But also, you don't want to ask the guy that's only been doing action movies to do another action adventure movies. It's set in a different time. Like, that's not interesting. The Johnny Depp and Pirates pop because it was out of the blue. They cast the most obvious choice for this role in a way.
It is interesting
He had already done Elizabethtown. I don't know if the Elizabethtown fans showed up for Kingdom of Heaven, but
No, I agree with you. And again, I'm not even criticizing Orlando Bloom specifically, but when you look back at Ridley's career, he does tend to cast like phenomenal A-list actors in his lead role.
I know.
Like, he doesn't direct.
He technically was in Troy, by the way. Yeah.
He's infamous for not directing. He'll do a 1 or 2 takes and move on. And that actor needs to absolutely be a fucking master of their craft because they need to just kind of do a lot of that work for themselves.
Did I say the Russell Crowe story? Did we already do this? The Russell Crowe story on Gladiator? Have you seen this? He says it on the Howard Stern show. Russell Crowe talking about his first day, his first moment on Gladiator.
I don't know.
I'm gonna give you the tiniest thing. So he shows up on day 1 and it's the opening battle sequence. Go to the Howard Stern show and don't listen to my fucking awful, but whatever. And he doesn't really know what to expect. And there are people everywhere. It's the full battle sequence. There's extras out the wazoo. There's horses. There's encampments. It's wild. And he shows up and he doesn't know what Ridley Scott's going to say to him. And the first thing Ridley says is, he's like, okay, we're going to get a shot. And here's what I want. You're going to look out at the battle and you're going to see what's in front of you. But then a little bird is going to float and it's going to catch your attention and it's going to land over here. And the bird's going to catch your attention, and then it's going to fly away. And as it's flying away, it's going to fly towards the battle, and it's going to bring your attention back to the battle. Okay, so let's do that. Let's shoot that. And Russell Crowe just had to literally improvise his first moment on the set. And he's like, okay, and then it's all no sound. Okay, there it is. The bird comes. It lands here. He looks. He sees it. And then he's like, I thought I added some paint strokes, some colors. The bird flies away. He looks. He sees the battles. It sobers him. It brings him to the reality of what's going to happen. And he exits the frame. And he does it. And Ridley Scott says, cut. And he comes up to him and he says, we're going to be fucking great together, mate. And that's Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe's first moment on Gladiator. So you're probably 100% right, where it's like, even the A-listers are like, what the fuck am I doing right now? There's people everywhere and I don't even know what I'm doing and I'm the lead of this movie. You're probably right. So why Orlando Bloom?
It's a really good question because
Legolas has no emotion. So like, it's just, who would have been your first pick? I'm just curious.
You're so good at the casting stuff. Who would
Brad
you have
would have
gone
been, but he
with
did Troy. Troy was 2004, so it can't be. Of course, it's Brad. Of course, somebody that's like nobody's expecting. They want the Swords and Sandals, but it's actually good. Give him all the money he wants, and people are going to come to see him, and then all of a sudden they're going to get.
Did you not like Orlando's performance? I did.
There was just so much looking. There was so much posturing. It was the director's performance on Orlando Bloom. I saw the majority of this movie.
I think I'm just going back
to what I said at the very beginning. That's fine.
I think I'm just going back to what I said at the very beginning, that I don't think if when it's not on the page, and I don't think it was on the page, the great and responsible actor has to bring their own conflict.
Right.
And I don't know if Orlando found it. I think he found his grief and his sadness. I saw it. You saw it in his eyes. He's got sad eyes, and it worked.
You know what he's supposed?
And I don't know if I saw any conflict within him, or I saw as much conflict as I wanted. But I believed him.
City of Jerusalem.
Believed him. I didn't think he was bad or anything.
I felt like I saw the underdog, knowing he needs to step up. I don't know if I saw somebody understand that they were the defender of a 1,000-year-old city, except I did see, I really appreciated his conflict of like, Jerusalem, what is Jerusalem? What is that not? I get that, but there was one extra level, one extra peel of the onion, where he's sleeping with this guy, the king's wife. But he wasn't the king yet, but he's going to be the king's wife. And the city matters, and he knows it matters. In order for him to sit there and say, does Jerusalem matter? He needs to know it matters. And he needs to maybe disagree or maybe be like, why the fuck does it matter? He needs to have that as a conflict. Being, why do people care about the city? I don't know if I saw that. It was a lot of like, it was just a little too mid for a lot of it. That's it. That's it for me, Dave. Sorry.
I still liked it. I thought he did his job, but I know what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people felt that way, which is why
I wanted Vigo in Lord of the Rings and I got Legolas. That's what I got.
There you go. You heard it here. Let's talk real fast, Dave. I just want to hear if you have any, like, it's classic Ridley, tons of cameras, really, really
there was
well-directed stuff.
One particular scene that made me sit up and actually say out loud, how the fuck did they do that?
Our old segment.
Yeah, right? And it was the shipwreck sequence with the storm.
Oh, man.
Because I'm like, how the fuck did they
What luck.
Like,
what luck for him.
It's actually a composite of like 4 different shots, some from different movies.
Wow.
They used a CGI model of a ship, archive footage of a heavy sea storm, outtakes from his own earlier film, The White Squall, and outtakes from the battle, where they digitally altered the uniforms. So it's like, it's a composite of 4 different pieces of footage, and he had to build it. That was the last thing made for the film.
What?
Damn.
Yeah.
This is
they go into detail on the director's cut DVD if anyone wants to hear the whole story.
John Mathieson, who did not. Oh, you know what? Gladiator was the same year
if
as
you can still get it.
As Crouching Tigers. I'm pretty sure Crouching Tiger beat it at the Oscars because John Mathieson did not win for Gladiator. I think he lost to Crouching Tiger.
It's Dave. I don't know, man. I feel like that was the only one that really caught you. I feel that, but.
It wasn't the only one that caught me. That's the one that caught me the most.
That was the one that blew you away. But like, even just the
cinematography changed tone at least 6 or 7 times to reflect the action, and that's not often done in a lot of films. Like they actually changed styles, they changed tone to reflect what was going on in that scene. There was a lot of techniques being thrown about where the way they moved the camera.
He's so technically sound and proficient and knowledgeable that he can articulate any of that stuff to his multiple camera operators or cinematographer, gaffer. But one thing I think that, Ridley does, and I've mentioned this last time, but it's just worth saying it again because it's so insane. It's so insane to me that he does this. But apparently, he's such a remarkable visual artist that he still storyboards every fucking shot of his movie before they shoot it. So he knows what the movie is going to look like beforehand, and they're gorgeous. Apparently, he's an excellent drawer.
Does he do it by hand?
Yes. And so that is something that I'm always curious about. I would love to be in a conversation with his camera operator, DP, gaffer, to understand, like, he shows them a sequence on his wall, but then what does he say? Does he let them? Probably not. But I wonder if he lets them bring some ideas of how they could, like you're saying, how do we capture the language? How do we adjust the language to capture those visuals that you want for each of those shots? Or does he have that? And does he also write down below it, handheld, steady, jib, crane in? Like, I wonder if he literally is super specific and he already knows exactly what kind of camera move, or if he really does leave a little bit of room for collaboration, knowing what he wants the result to look like.
I feel like there's sometimes a collaboration, but there's definitely some times where they're very specific. Like when the camera goes full steady and it's almost spinning around him at one point near the tree.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shots was when the wall blew out and everyone's like piling on top of bodies on top of bodies, and the camera just does a slow pull out. I'm just saying, it just keeps going up and up and up, and I'm just sitting there like, fucking hell. Like,
what
that
a
was
remarkable,
a good shot.
and editing wise, isn't that the shot that transitions into later that night and all those bodies are now dead bodies? The exact same shot.
Yeah,
it just pulls up and now they're all just dead.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God, that is incredible.
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking, and it's very early Gladiator and early this movie and early Napoleon, but the color and the way he captures the atmosphere with the snow and the light in the early scenes of this movie.
Yeah.
Or the blue and everything.
I mean,
it's just
snow does half the work for you, but to get that level of blue, it was probably just using tungsten film at nighttime.
I guess so, man. It's so gorgeous. It's so period.
Well, no, sorry, daylight film at nighttime.
Daylight film at nighttime.
I always get it backwards. God damn it.
You're fired. You're fired.
Yeah, I'll show myself out.
But yeah, I mean, everybody goes into these movies thinking about, he is the fucking man with, the big action stuff. You're going to get it. You're going to get the fucking thing you came for. But he's just like run of the mill, how he covers a scene, how he chooses to film stuff. It's very well directed. People think of him as just a big action director sometimes, but I mean,
it's not distracting though. Is the thing like every shot is there for a reason. It's motivated moving the camera.
No. It's not even all like shiny and look at me camera work.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really not. Like a lot of the times, it's quite simple. This
is set in a desert.
Neeson,
it's not shiny. Look at me.
Jeff,
camera
your
work.
P screen is still on.
The scene where Liam is dying really got me this time. I thought that was a really, really simply shot and very well done scene. And I don't know. I feel like it's those kinds of things that the more and more, the older I get, the more I do this, the more movies of his I watch. Of course, I'll be trying to if I ever do anything half as good as him with the big action stuff, you should count yourself lucky. But that small stuff we take for granted. He's good at all of it.
Can you, Elizabeth, watch The Last Duel? Can you make it to the end? Because I feel like most people who didn't like it had already decided that before they got to the third chapter.
I thought it was good. I thought everybody said it was good.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen it. We did not see it, but I heard it was good.
You talked to Hollywood people who like movies. I think the critics and a lot of the audiences they tuned out or they didn't go.
Didn't we review it?
It lost a ton of money. You and I did, Dave, not John. And it was, I think it's because the third chapter, when you get to the third chapter, it's like, holy shit, here we go.
Mm.
Nothing wrong with the first two chapters. I thought they were great, but
that one's also fascinating
chapter.
from an acting perspective and a writing perspective. It's fascinating from like three different perspectives.
Guys, I like playing this game sometimes with our very prolific directors. Give me your top three. You can go to 5 if you want. They don't have to be in order. But if you had to recommend your 5 or your 3 to 5 for an alien who said, I like movies.
This is going to be hard for Dave.
What Ridley Scott movie should I watch?
I'm trying to remember.
An alien, huh? An alien?
I'm trying to remember.
Sure.
I have to look up all the films. Because there was at least one we mentioned earlier that I didn't know he did.
Oh, really?
But I've seen it. Yeah.
Also, if you go to IMDb, he's listed as a fucking producer first. IMDb, shut the fuck up, all right? When I'm looking him up, I don't care what I do not care what he's produced. I don't care at all.
Scot-free, baby.
I don't care at all what he's produced.
Jeff, list it. What do you got?
Okay, I mean, you got to go Alien, Blade Runner 1, 2, I think. I mean, despite everything I've said, and I love Gladiator. I did rewatch Gladiator.
We don't even need an order. It doesn't have to be a ranking, necessarily.
I had fun with White Squall and G.I. Jane, I have to say, so kudos to him for owning the 90s, even though I feel like that era is probably lost from him. Okay, so anyway, 1 and 2 are definitely Blade Runner and Alien, so sorry that it's been so long, bro, but I'll do that. I also read the book to Black Hawk Down and saw the movie, so I'm going to put Black Hawk Down in my top 5.
Oh, wow.
And then I didn't love Napoleon as much as you did. American Gangster I kind of liked. Bodies of Lies was pretty fun. Prometheus close, but not so much.
No Gladiator?
Alien was fun. I love the Gladiator. I didn't love my last rewatch though. I felt like they cut so many corners. All of a sudden, it was a little cheap. Okay, fine. Gladiator, and then fuck you, and then Kingdom. Kingdom of Heaven's in there after this rewatch, even though I really want to put Robin Hood or Black Hawk. I already put Black Hawk Down in, or White
Dave,
Squall or some shit.
Any additions or subtractions?
I want to add Legend. Because I saw that much
Tom
younger.
Cruise?
You love it, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the Tom Cruise movie?
Yeah, I saw that much younger, and it's a solid fantasy film.
Nice. I've never seen that one.
And Black Rain.
Black Rain.
Yeah, I remember enjoying Black Rain.
Classic.
Tim Curry's in Legend.
I am going to add The Martian
Legend has
to
a
that
30
list.
Metascore. You put The Martian in there?
I really like The Martian. It is totally not the movie you think he would make, but the more I watch the movie, the more entertaining I find it. Love the score. I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
All right. Ridley Scott. I think he's got about 10 more movies in him, so we'll have more to talk about.
Like him good ones.
Wait, did Gladiator 2 get a Best Picture nom? It did, right?
I don't know.
I don't
No?
think so. It didn't even get
I don't think so.
Denzel. It didn't even get
That's fucking
Denzel.
insane, by the way.
How do you
let's
not
talk
get
about that for a
Denzel?
second. What
For a
the
while, I was like,
fuck?
everybody's like, he's going to win. I was like, I don't know if he needs to win, but he's going to be nominated, obviously. I thought he was the front runner for the Golden Globe. Kieran Culkin wins, and then he just doesn't even get nominated for an Oscar. Are you fucking kidding me?
When
Paul Mescal says, like, what's your family name? And he goes, you will never know. And he says that smile. I was like, fuck yeah, Denzel. He's so kind. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, he's so good. It's Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, Yuriv Borisov in Anora, Ed Norton in A Complete Unknown, Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain, and Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice. Now, I haven't seen The Apprentice. Why are we only doing 5? Can they only do 5 now, Jeff?
It's always
Is that a thing? Okay.
Always
as
fine.
much as I
Acting
love
categories are
Ed
fine.
Norton so much, I think I might pull him out and throw
I think it's
Denzel
Kieran
in
or-
there.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry,
sure
Ed.
there'll probably be an episode about that.
We didn't
Oh,
say
man.
Thelma and Louise either. John, you and I liked watching Thelma and Louise. That's a good
I do.
movie.
That's a really, really strong movie. That is a really, really good movie. If the alien arrived and said, "What movie should I watch?" we should probably tell him to check out Thelma and Louise too.
Well, we'll see.
I was
what
doing a
their
robot
masculine,
voice, but it's an
feminine-
alien voice. You
Their
got me.
masculine, feminine.
It's a moon
energy is,
language.
like whatever they're.
Sure. All right. Edward Norton
okay.
was so good in this movie. Didn't bother you at all, right? That he had no accent? You didn't give a shit, did you?
Nope.
Honestly, I forgot it was Ed a lot.
He is so fucking good, dude. He's so good.
It's great.
Okay. That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
That's it, people. Go check out the Director's Cut Roadshow edition. You can rent it on Prime or buy it for an extra $1 like John did, which I fucking should have done. How did I miss that? I'm such an idiot. I got a new vape pen, so that's my excuse. So I haven't had one in a while. Dave, you know what to do. We're going to go ahead and spin the wheel so we see what year we're going to talk about next, and then we're going to tell you what movie we're actually going to do at the end of the episode. But we're going to spin the wheel now.
Anyone want
Guesses. I want 1985 now that we just talked about Legend. 1985.
1998.
All right, let's see.
All right.
98.
Was that it? It just flashed 96.
199.
It was it.
What?
I've
How
never
did it
seen
flash?
it do
Dave,
that.
you have to hide that. What did just happen? I didn't see it flash.
It flashed it as it started.
It did. It
Ever
flashed
since,
as it started.
ever since I
It totally
upgraded
killed the
to
suspense.
Sequoia, it does this
Guys,
weird
can we just
shit
watch
when it starts
Independence Day again? Can we just watch it again? Let's just do it again.
As long as it's not the
It was in
fucking
our top
sequel.
4. We put it in the top 4. Sorry.
It's our number 1.
Somehow. For summer blockbuster. Independence Day was number 1.
It was number
Independence
2.
Day was like a top.
No, I think it lost to
No,
Jurassic Park.
Terminator 2 is number 2.
Did it make it? Wow.
Yeah, it made it.
It got a fair
Yeah,
weight.
on
I
one
should
side,
re-listen. I
on
should
one side
re-listen.
was like it was like Jaws, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, and on the other side was like Terminator 2 or Independence Day for the best summer blockbuster of all time.
God, that's good.
I would let's
All
just,
right.
okay, let's just do Independence Day and just quote the movie back. It's like this will be our Independence Day.
We will not go quietly
You
into the
ruined it.
night.
Yeah. All right.
Don't you say that about my David? Jed Hirsch's lines are so funny. Are you sure? I say, "Are you sure?" to Angela all the time, and I don't think she knows what I'm doing because I don't think she's always.
No.
doing
She
it, but
doesn't.
I'm like,
She doesn't know what
"Are
you're doing.
you sure?" When he crop dusts the wrong plot, and she's like,
I
"You
gotta
just
call my
crop dusted
mother.
the wrong property."
I gotta
and he
call
goes,
my lawyer.
How
Sorry.
often are you crop dusting it?
Actually, a lot. Honestly, it's been.
I would imagine
on
it's
quinoa.
nonstop in that
It's a wonder
place.
she hasn't. It's a wonder she hasn't killed you in the night.
Crack the windows. Keep the fan running.
Well, our
What you
cat
been
was under
watching,
the covers yesterday, and I
guys?
think I know why. I think she was hiding from the odor. Yeah, let's
It
see
can't
what
be
you've
much
been
better
watching.
under there. I would imagine.
Dave, I'd like to start with you. What have you been watching?
I have been just watching the series that I mentioned last. What did you just do?
What was that?
I don't know.
What just happened?
Did you bite your glass? What just happened?
Guys, I had a lesson before this, so I prepped, instead of using ice, which would have melted, I used the metal ice, and I just
Did you
drank, but there's
see?
nothing left in my glass. So the metal just like fell on the glass, but the glass was resting on my teeth, so the vibration just went on my teeth.
Ding.
Yeah, we
Dave, I
had.
didn't hear anything
Yeah.
you said. What'd you say?
No, I just kept going with the series that I mentioned last week. I didn't get the chance to see any movies. I am probably, if I get a chance tomorrow, going to go and see Companion, though.
Companion.
Mm.
What is that?
It's got Jack Quaid in it.
This is the movie
from
that
The
your
Boys?
brother talked about last week?
Oh yeah.
I've been trying to see it for a week. The trailer is
hilarious. Didn't we just put it in our
hilarious.
episode title? We just put it in the episode title last week. I didn't put Ghassan in it, but I put Companion in.
I remember him talking about the presents. I don't think I remember this. Cool.
Oh, well, fuck. I don't remember.
So that's it for me.
Cool,
John?
man. I have been watching ER The Pit. Those two, of course, they're fun. And we just started the other night, and we put it off, and I guess you guys have too, because I don't think I heard you guys mention it at all. But last year when it came out, I heard a few people tell me to watch this, and I just didn't see it. Dark Matter, the Apple TV Plus show with Joel Edgerton and Jennifer Connelly.
I've seen the whole damn thing.
Multiverse stuff.
I've seen the whole damn thing.
God, I don't remember you talking about it, dude. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, we're usually drunk by the end.
That's true. It is. It's really fun and it's worth watching.
Jennifer Connelly's half Jewish too, and I'd like to put some more in her. Hey, come on, that's relevant to our movie.
Man, she's pretty. It's a really good show. Yeah, we've really enjoyed watching it. It's so well done. So
she's also
everybody should
fantastic.
give it a
I
shot.
was
She's really
insanely curious about some of those worlds they end up in.
Yeah,
In
and
Black
she has
Matter?
a real fun character without giving anything away.
Yeah.
There's multiple versions of people, so she gets to
Are there
play.
going to be more?
If you like the old series Sliders, this is a very much more serious version of Sliders.
And there is a version. There's totally like opportunities where like they could totally satire this.
Yeah.
This very Bill and Ted, in the sense of like, oh, they show up here and they could be in this movie world or this kind of world, but it's quite serious and thrilling and intense, and it's worth watching. It's very well done. Very, very good production value. Beautifully
Dave,
shot.
do you watch season 2? Do you watch season 2 of Silo?
We're in the middle of it now.
And
It's pretty good.
okay, because I really like the first season.
Yeah, but I think we're getting 4 seasons out of it, maybe 3. But
Of course.
yeah, because there's only
That terrifies me, actually. I wish I didn't say that. But it's funny because the first season I was like, it's good, but maybe it's going to be one and done. And then the at the very end, it was a little bit of a surprise. I was like, no shit.
Yeah.
But then it's been so long that I'm kind of
there's
okay.
there's a specific thing at the moment that you're just waiting for, and we're about 4 episodes in.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I started my Lord of the Rings rewatch because I wanted to watch nothing. I was just like, I don't want to do a single thing. I want to zone out from the rest of the world. And so I started some Lord of the Rings. I don't give a shit. Whatever.
Fuck yeah.
I also watched 7 episodes of The Pit this week. I could not stop watching The Pit. It's so good, John. You're right. And I didn't even really watch ER or even want to watch ER, but there's something about The Pit. There's backstory, so I get to know the doctors a little bit, but so little, and the work that they do in the workplace, I am so in. Talk about show, don't tell. I was like, just show me, don't tell me what it's like when a guy who's tricked out and is homeless and is going through the fix, and they have to have a doctor on each limb so they can. That's all I need. Was so exciting. I think
Sounds
The
like
Pit
me
is
having a
so
blood
great.
test.
Yeah.
And I can't believe
I'm a fighter.
that they're going to keep releasing episodes into April. I was like, well, I'm just going to binge the hell out of this. And I was like, fuck, now I got to come back to one a week for this?
Yeah.
I know, it's
Through
annoying.
April? And
It's out
Noah
on
Wiley,
Thursdays.
who was in ER, Noah Wiley, wrote an episode. So he is so in this. He wrote first of all, I'm like, how did he even write? Does he really know these medical terms? And then Angela said she had an itch, and I was like, well, show it to me because I've been watching The Pit.
I've been watching The Pit. Yeah, let me tell you
so
what.
I can diagnose you. So The Pit's been really great. And then I also watched, the only other thing I watched was Europa. I watched with Angela, which is about a German-born Jew who moved to Poland with his family when they started facing anti-Semitism, who had to escape he became an orphan in Russia, on the border of Russia. Anyway, it's a true story about a guy who is a Jew who somehow found his way into the Hitler Youth as a translator and became a war hero for Germany, even though he wasn't, and he was actually a Jew, and he survived World War II.
Jesus.
And that's Europa from 1990, which famously was a contender for the Oscar, but then Germany, where the movie was made, decided not to submit it for the Oscars, which led to outrage.
Wow.
This
Sounds
would
like
have
an
still been
intense
West Germany,
class.
Yeah.
She's watching some
Actually, it was
heavy
really fun.
fucking movies.
It was pretty fun. This one was pretty fun, but of course it was intense. Yeah, it was intense.
Add
it
it
was
on
cool.
It's on the watch list, man. That's great.
Yeah, it was really. It's authentic in a way that Europe can only do this. The kid's like kind of naked, and you don't really see everything. I'm not saying watch a movie because of that, but I'm like, he's supposed to be playing like a 13-year-old and then a 16-year-old, and it's like, that like they're just a little looser with stuff like that. Again, they do it tastefully. I'm not saying it's like they're being pornographic, but it's like, I was like, I was like, is this kid supposed to be 13? Because I think I just saw something. And it was like, yeah, he's 13. I was like, whoa. And then 16. But anyway, they do it because, he's Jewish. So there's a tell if you're a German Jew.
Right.
How do you know if you're Jewish? There's a tell. Nowadays, it's harder to tell. But back then, it was a tell. And then there was a guy who, the only other person who knew he was Jewish, didn't know for the right reasons, even though they became friends. So there's just a lot of murky territory you don't see in a lot of other films too. So it's a very bold movie, but also fun. It was also entertaining, even though it was very serious. Yes. That's it.
What's the name of the?
I'm just going to buzz you for that whole speech.
Fuck you, Dave. It's a classic.
What's the name of the
1990.
guy, Mel Brooks' character in Men in Tights, who performs the circumcisions?
Yeah.
I'll be right there. He's like, I'll be right with you.
Should I also say that Europa opens with the circumcision?
Oh my God. Yeah, that is a first scene. Wow. So you really see it.
Pretty much guaranteed.
We don't see the whole.
Watch it.
We don't see the whole thing, but let's just say it's funny. The mom is in the room, but otherwise all men.
They do that, and this is kind of, I'm going to tell a story. This is funny. Sorry, Dad. In Turkey, for a long time, I think they still do it too, but I'm not going to claim that. They would circumcise you when you were 10 years old, and there's a ceremony around it. So all these boys in every Turkish household, certainly from like my father's generation and before it happens, they dress you up in like this like royal garb. It's like very fancy. And the look on all their faces, these young boys, because they know what's about to happen. There's not a single picture of these young men where they're smiling or they're happy or they feel proud. They're all like, they're holding like a fucking, they have things in their hands and crowns and robes and shit. They have this look on their face.
Dude,
like,
you don't know. It fucking hurts.
Help me.
I wonder, because I mean, you would think they would all roast each other, but if they all do it, they probably are like, it probably brings them all together.
Yes.
You're not supposed to know that's happening to you, though. 10?
The one good thing about
about
babies is they'll definitely.
You had yours done when you were 10?
I did.
But
That wasn't a joke, actually. That's for real.
By choice?
Did you have anesthesia?
No, it was my mother's choice, the bitch. And
that's where it all began.
And I'll tell you what, man. Like the dressing they put on it, they had put me in the shower and I'm peeling the dressing off, and I have not known that pain again ever in my lifetime.
Do they just use like a thing of like wire cutter pliers? Like what do they? What do they get in there with?
I was knocked out for the procedure, but taking that dressing off afterwards, I threw up in the shower.
Wait. No, I
Jeff's mind is blown.
Yeah, he can't process it.
Yes, my mind is blown. Dave just told us he remembers his circumcision.
Well,
yes, my mind is blown.
I remember the aftermath.
We lived together for years, and how did this never come up? How did it never come up? Oh, I remember my
because I'd never hit
Dave,
the fucking end of it.
You and my dad have shit to talk about, dude.
Yeah.
Wasn't
well,
quite
I don't
a brisk.
remember it, but I remember the aftermath. That's not comfy.
Also, thank you, Ray Schott. Thank you, Ray Schott, for letting us.
Thank you for your service. Oh my God.
For your service. I played at a simulator with a swing aid, and it really helped. Ray Schott, I want you to know that. Has Ray Schott ever hit his age? Has he ever hit his age? Has he ever scored his age?
He did it a month ago.
He shot his age?
Yeah.
How old is he?
He was at that point. It was more than a month ago. It was at some point last year, and he was 70.
And he broke 70? Or he shot 70?
He shot 70.
Fucking unbelievable. Senior
him,
tees or white tees? What did he shoot? Where was he?
Ah, man, he usually plays from the golds now.
which is what is that? Second from the back?
For us,
Not the champions.
Yeah, second from the back. Second from the back.
Fucking shot his age from the fucking gold tees.
Pretty good,
All right.
right?
Are we
Pretty good.
gonna pick a movie?
I'm just
Sure.
imagining circumcisions left and right, guys. Let's do it. Let's pick a movie. Listen to some Ghassan. We'll get right back, film fans. We're going to tell you what we're talking about next week. Let's go. And we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
All right, we're very excited about this. Very interesting year, 1996. I'm very excited to talk about with you next week, fellas. And the movie we are talking about is available to stream on Paramount Plus right now, which we all have subscriptions for now. We all have those P Plus subscriptions up. Paramount Plus. We're talking about Primal Fear. So last week we did a Crusade movie. This week we did a Crusades movie. We also did an Edward Norton movie this year. Next week, we're doing an Edward Norton movie. We're trying to have some through line through all of our episodes. That's right. Primal Fear. This is
totally
Edward
planned
Norton's
this, yeah.
breakthrough. I'm sure John and I also have a couple good anecdotes about Ed being cast in this movie. First-hand accounts from acting teachers that we worked with who worked with Edward Norton before he was cast in Primal Fear. We're very excited about that. Dave didn't know that when he chose this movie. Can't wait. So excited. Are you ready next week, film fans? Anything you want to say? You two?
Nope.
Nope.
All right.
You
Until
are
next
Jerusalem.
time. There wasn't a good Dave thing for the top from this movie. There just wasn't. I was going to say one time, I was like, Dave gets ready for the war for like punching grapes. There was that one Guy, I think, was just like hitting grapes. And I was like, this is fucking weird. But otherwise, I got nothing. All right. See you next week, film fans.